He had charted air routes across the Pacific and understood the perils of flying where maps were still incomplete. Their partnership was built on mutual respect. Amelia handled the controls, Fred handled the math. He brought experience with celestial navigation, a method that used the stars to guide flight paths long before modern instruments existed. It was slow, complex, and left no room for error. Their aircraft, the Lockheed Electra 10E, was state-of-the-art for its time. Twin engines, a reinforced fuselage, and custom fuel tanks extending its range to nearly 4,500 kilometers. But even with these upgrades, it was a fragile vessel compared to the vastness of the Pacific. Every bolt, every gauge, every map mattered. Earhart and Noonan spent weeks preparing, studying flight plans, weather forecasts, and emergency procedures. The world saw glamour. They saw logistics and survival. Together, they would challenge the limits of human navigation and endurance. Yet, even with all the preparation, one truth lingered. No flight was ever truly safe. By the time Amelia announced her plan, the world was watching. Newspapers across continents followed every move, every preparation. This wasn't just another record attempt. It was a global event. In the 1930s, aviation symbolized progress, and Amelia stood at its front line. People saw in her flight a promise that the world was finally within reach. Governments tracked her route. Radio operators across the Pacific prepared to relay messages. Photographers documented her departure from every airfield. For a brief moment, humanity seemed united by a single story, a woman daring to circle the planet. Yet behind the excitement, tension simmered. The Pacific was vast, unpredictable, and barely mapped. Storms could rise without warning. Navigation relied on fragile radio links and the alignment of stars. Many experts quietly doubted her odds. Amelia remained composed, refusing to let uncertainty cloud her resolve. She understood the risks but refused to be defined by them. "Please know," she wrote to her husband before takeoff, "I am aware of the hazards, but I want to do it because I want to." That letter would later haunt history. As the world cheered her on, no one realized they were witnessing the beginning of one of the greatest unsolved mysteries of the 20th century. Amelia Earhart's plan was bold: to circle the globe along the equator, the longest route possible. Her journey would cross some of the most remote and dangerous regions on Earth. Starting from Oakland, California, she would fly east, passing through South America, across the Atlantic to Africa, then through India, Southeast Asia, and finally the Pacific. Every leg demanded precision. A single miscalculation could mean disaster. Her first attempt in March 1937 ended abruptly. During takeoff from Hawaii, a landing gear failure damaged the Electra. The mission was postponed, forcing repairs and months of delay. Amelia, unfazed, reworked the plan. The second attempt would reverse direction, this time east to west, taking advantage of better weather patterns and political permissions. By May, she was back in the air. The flight began smoothly. Over Africa, she admired the deserts below. In Asia, she faced monsoon rains and rough conditions. Despite setbacks, each stop brought her closer to the Pacific. After nearly 6 weeks in the air, Amelia reached Lae, New Guinea, just one leg from the finish line. Ahead lay 2,500 miles of open ocean and a tiny island called Howland, barely visible on a map. It was the most dangerous stretch of all. And as she prepared for takeoff, neither Amelia nor Fred could have known. This would be their last flight. July 2nd, 1937. The sky over Lae, New Guinea, was heavy with clouds. Amelia Earhart and Fred Noonan took off at dawn, bound for Howland Island, a speck of land in the middle of the Pacific, smaller than many city parks. To find it, they would have to navigate over 2,500 miles of open water with nothing but stars, compasses, and radio bearings. For the first several hours, things went smoothly. The Electra's engines held steady. But as they flew deeper into the Pacific, conditions worsened. Thick clouds obscured Noonan's celestial readings. Winds pushed them off course. Their maps, already incomplete, offered little help. They radioed periodic updates, but their signals grew weaker. The U.S. Coast Guard ship Itasca, stationed near Howland, tried to guide them in. Static filled the airwaves. Messages were broken, timing uncertain. At one point, Amelia's voice came through faintly, calm but urgent. "We must be on you," she said, "but cannot see you." The Itasca fired signal flares, hoping to catch her eye. No response. Fuel was running low. Clouds and radio interference turned the vast sky into a trap. Somewhere out there, two of the most experienced aviators in the world were flying blind, searching for an island they might never find. As the hours passed, radio operators aboard the Itasca strained to catch every syllable from Amelia Earhart. Her voice, faint and distant, broke through the static in short bursts. Each message carried mounting tension. She sounded composed, but urgency was creeping in. At 7:42 a.m., she made her final confirmed call. "We are on the line, 157-337. We are running north and south." It was a navigation reference, but without precise bearings, it offered little help. The Itasca replied again and again, sending Morse code signals and spoken responses, yet Amelia never acknowledged them. Either her receiver had failed, or interference drowned out their voices. Moments later, silence. No more transmissions, no mayday, no goodbye. For radio operators, it was surreal. One moment she was there, the next, gone. They logged the time, noted her last words, and kept listening, hour after hour, hoping for another signal. Nothing came. At that point, the Electra had likely been in the air for over 20 hours. Fuel reserves were critically low. If they missed Howland, there was nowhere else to go. Amelia Earhart's final transmission would become one of the most haunting sound bites in history. A calm voice fading into an empty sky. After that final transmission, the world waited. For hours, radio operators from Hawaii to California listened for even a flicker of her voice. None came. The Itasca sent out distress calls, sweeping every frequency. The Pacific, however, answered with silence. By nightfall, it was clear something had gone terribly wrong. The U.S. Navy launched an immediate search. Ships and aircraft scoured thousands of square miles, retracing every possible route from Leh to Howland Island. They searched coastlines, coral reefs, and open waters, hoping to find wreckage, a raft, or any trace of Amelia and Fred. Days turned into weeks. Nothing. No oil slick. No floating debris. Not even a single confirmed radio echo. It was as though the ocean had swallowed them whole. Families, friends, and fans around the world clung to hope. Newspapers ran headlines asking if she'd landed on another island. Some believed she was still alive, stranded and waiting for rescue. Others began to accept the unthinkable, that Amelia Earhart, the world's most famous pilot, had vanished without a trace. As the search continued, one chilling fact became undeniable. In all of recorded aviation history, no disappearance had ever been so sudden, so total, or so enduring. The disappearance of Amelia Earhart triggered one of the most intense search efforts in history. Within hours, the U.S. Navy dispatched ships, planes, and patrols across the Pacific. President Franklin D. Roosevelt personally authorized the mission. For nearly 2 weeks, the skies above Howland Island buzzed with reconnaissance aircraft, scanning endless waves for signs of life. The Navy's flagship, the USS Lexington, covered more than 150,000 square miles of ocean. Spotters peered from open cockpits